The anatomical movements can be defined as the act or instance of moving the bodily structures or as the change of position in one or more of the joints of the body.
But baby, you don't know me. My baby, you don't know.
Flexion and extension describe movements that affect the angle between two parts of the body. When we say flexion, it describes a bending movement that decreases the angle between a segment and its proximal segment. While on the other hand, if we say extension, it is opposite of flexion that describes a straightening movement that increases the angle between body parts.
Baby, you don't know. Baby, you don't know.
The muscles involved in flexing the elbow are the biceps brachii, brachioradialis, and brachialis, while the triceps are responsible for elbow extension. The bones involved here are humerus, ulna, and radius. Abduction and adduction refer to movements made about the sagittal axis and along the coronal plane. Abduction is moving a body part away from its resting anatomical position in the coronal plane, while on the other hand, adduction is returning it to its normal resting position.
Baby, you will know.
The muscles and bones involved here are
Baby, you don't know.
medial and lateral rotation describe movement of the limbs around their long axis. Medial rotation is a rotational movement towards the midline. It is sometimes referred to as internal rotation. While on the other hand, lateral rotation is opposite to medial rotation. It is a rotating movement away from the midline.
Take me to the place I used to run. Remember the house where I was born. But baby, you don't know me. My baby,
The muscles and bones involved here are
I'll show you all the stars I used to hide.
depression and elevation are downward and upward movements of the scapula or mandible. Elevation refers to movement in a superior direction, while on the other hand, depression refers to movement in an inferior direction.
Baby, you don't know. Baby, you don't know.
The muscles and bones involved here are supination and pronation are terms used to describe the up or down orientation of your hand, arm, or foot. When we say pronation, it describes a rotational movement of the forearm that results in the palm facing posteriorly, while supination describes the motion of turning the palm anteriorly.
Stars I used to hide. No one ever seemed to realize. But baby, you will know me. Baby, you will know.
Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion are terms used to describe movements at the ankle. They refer to the two surfaces of the foot, which are the dorsum, or the superior surface, and the plantar surface, which is the sole. Dorsiflexion refers to flexion at the ankle so that the foot points more superiorly, while plantar flexion refers extension at the ankle so that the foot points inferiorly.
You don't know. Baby, you don't know.
Inversion and eversion are movements which occur at the ankle joint, referring to the rotation of the foot around its long axis. Inversion involves the movement of the sole towards the median plane so that the sole faces in a medial direction, while eversion involves the movement of the sole away from the median plane so that the sole faces in a lateral direction.
All the stars I used to hide, no one ever seemed to realize. But baby, you will know me. But baby, you will know.
Opposition and reposition are two movements that are restricted to the digits of the hand. Essentially, they involve pinching, such as when sprinkling salt over food or snapping your fingers. Opposition is the thumb movement that brings the tip of the thumb in contact with the tip of a finger, while reposition is the movement that moves the thumb and the little finger away from each other.
Baby, you don't know. Take me to the place I used to run. Remember the house.
Circumduction can be defined as a conical movement of a limb extending from the joint at which the movement is controlled. It is also sometimes talked about as a circular motion, but is more accurately conical due to the cone formed by the moving limb.
Baby, you will know.
Protraction and retraction occur in two major regions of the body, the scapula and the mandible. Protraction of the scapula occurs when the shoulder is moved forward, as when pushing against something or throwing a ball, while on the other hand, retraction is the opposite motion, with the scapula being pulled posteriorly and medially toward the vertebral column.
Baby, you don't know. Baby, you don't know. Place I used to run. Remember the house where I was born. But baby, you don't know me. But baby, you don't know. I'll show you all the stars I used to hide. No one